Oh, device is not connected. Are they connected? They might be. We'll find out.
It's doing that same camera streams.
Yeah, it
It's
keeps
doing the
going out.
same camera thing. It happens every few streams.
Huh. Weird.
You're all good.
I might be in and out, but I'll try to fix it.
Fair enough. Yeah. Nothing crazy. I feel like this is the portion of time where fantasy football sort of dies off, at least in terms of like interest. Perhaps it's just me.
I feel like that
Up?
on top with like all the injury kind of issues going on right now only builds to like it being this point in the season, you know?
Yeah, like just not even mentally drained. Just kind of sitting here like, if he's healthy, start him.
And
Like,
it's hard for me too because it's like now that you and I are like just as a kind of like in general we're a little bit like transitioning over to fantasy basketball. It's like I might like start forgetting to set my lineups here like and be like fully fantasy basketball guy now. Like, geez.
yeah, my brain's just been completely out of it to a degree because I sit there and I'm like, okay, fantasy football. They're going against the Panthers. Probably want to start this guy. Like, I don't know, I'm just mentally not there anymore for it. Thoughts on Lockett this weekend versus Arizona? I think he's fine. I'm just
Yeah, I
not
think he's a go
like
if you have him.
super in or out on him, mainly because it's like I do think JSN's breakout is coming. I think that is Among Us. Like Kendrick Bourne just sees no relevance for me. I'd rather take a chance on Evans. Let's see if Grant's in here. There he is. Let's see here. Should you trade Kyron, Pierce, and Nico for Pollard, Gibbs, and Flowers? I feel like I immediately want the Pollard side regardless.
Say it one more time.
Kyron, Pierce, and Nico for Pollard, Gibbs, and Flowers. I'd want the Gibbs side.
Yeah, I think I would too, especially with the Kyron situation as it currently stands.
But we'll go ahead and get running into this here. Put this in the right mood. There we go. Josh Palmer this weekend versus Kansas City. I'm not opposed to it whatsoever. I do think he'll be a thing. Move this over here.
Those games always feel like shootouts too.
Yeah, that's just kind of how I look at it. What's the deal going on with McCaffrey these days? I've been hearing that he looks like he's probably going to be fine going into this week.
It seems possible. I think he's listed as questionable now. It's definitely not as bad as I think people thought in the moment, but I mean, I think he still has an injury designation. I doubt he'll practice until Monday, so it'll be kind of a tough one to know whether you should start him or not.
Also, something to consider is they have a bye week coming up after the next week, meaning that might weigh into the decision to give him a little bit of extra rest or what have you.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I would say there's a very solid chance he doesn't play this week because it's a weaker team and they have that bye afterwards. So I would go into the weekend under the presumption that he will not be playing. And of the guys left, I like Elijah Mitchell. I know that Mason has out-touched him, but Mitchell's been coming back from injuries and he's done nothing to not deserve being the or the running back one there when McCaffrey's out. So also based on Shanahan's comment and stuff this week, it seems like Eli will be the number one in a situation where McCaffrey's out. So the Jordan Mason hype feels like a little bit of a facade here.
Yeah. All right. Well, good evening to all of you. Derek and Be Great. Happy to see you guys back in here along with everyone else. But yeah, that's just kind of our general thought process through the 49ers situation right now. Let's see here. So we got T-Law, Etienne, Mostert, Keenan, AJ Brown, Evan Ingram, Jonathan Taylor. So that was worth the wait for this person, and then they are just loaded.
They're stacked now with this trade too. Like,
I don't like getting rid of Bijan personally, but that's just me. What's up, Majin?
I think it's the other way around.
I mean, if you're the person up top here getting this trade, I like.
Yeah,
this
they are. That's why they sent it in. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I like the Kelsey side because it's like I wouldn't be wanting to get rid of Travis Kelsey. It could be me, Majin, but I generally do not know if this is lagging or not.
Yeah. And
Um,
they got Chase to pick up the slack where AJ was before. I think that's a great trade.
yeah, what up, Harville? Yeah, like this team's stacked. I don't really have anything to say about it. You've already upgraded even further. Um, like, yeah, this is just a really, really good team. And you have like Jamar Chase. Like, yeah, next. Jordan Love, DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, Curtis Samuel, Keontae Ingram, Kenneth Gainwell, TJ Hawkinson, and Justice Hill. This team has definitely been through it, but they do have a decent amount of their team on the bench here. I would stay patient with Ridley. Um, 3-game winning streak. Let's keep it going. Would like to keep that going.
Tajay is looking great with the Derrick Henry rumors.
Yeah, that's looking really good. Um, I, I just don't really know what to do with this specific team because it's like Keontae is not really ideal here. Running back room is just in shambles. This could be a deep league.
Yeah, it strikes me as being pretty deep. I mean, once let's say Devon Chain is back, the running back room is still going to be less than what you would want it to be here. Tajay will pick up some slack, but yeah, I mean, if you can, like I would say, improve at running back, pretty solid for how deep your league seems at wide receiver right now.
Yeah. That's really about it for me. Like, I don't know how you would really trade, like, because in theory you don't want Curtis Samuel either, really being in this lineup. So it's like you got to keep CD. I don't know. I would consider downgrading one of my high end receivers here to really try to improve this running back room if I can. Nobody wants to buy Joe Burrow right now, but I'm not opposed to banking out of some of my what should we call it wide receiver exposure. Yeah, Curtis has definitely been killing it. He's been a bright spot in that Washington offense, but we will see if he continues to keep that going. Overall, it's a decent team and a decent, and what I'm imagining is a very deep league. Let's see here. We got Tua, Chuba, James Cook, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Darren Waller, Nico Collins. And who's vibing on the bench? No one too interesting.
Currently starting Jahmyr Gibbs over Chuba this week.
I mean, that's a given. It's not even worth mentioning. I would start him over over Chuba. I would start him over Nico.
Yeah.
I mean, give me him over James Cook. If I could start him at quarterback, I would.
Just because there's actual like room for him to do stuff now.
Yeah. I mean, if Montgomery doesn't play, I will reiterate this take. He will score a touchdown this week, and he will be in the mid-teens of fantasy points.
That's fair.
So if you like that and you're happy with that production, then start him. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not like Chuba's playing this week, so you should be starting Gibbs over him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, forgot about the Chuba buy.
Let's see here. But that's really all to really advise for this specific week here. I would try to improve my running backs further here with the receiver depth that I do have, albeit it's not like the most impressive. Perhaps you can scrounge a couple of these pieces together to improve to like a really solid running back over Chuba, for example. Because Jameer is going to be great for the short time here, but you do need something that's more sustainable in the long run. That would be really the only advice there. Should you pick up Tajay and drop Jeff Wilson? I have Achon and 5-1. I mean, Tajay just has a really nice floor at this point, and it's going to be very entertaining to see kind of how that progresses moving forward. But I'd just try to improve my RB here to get something that's more solid than having to lean on like James Cook, Najee, or Jahmyr Gibbs, because essentially you're going each and every week trying to figure out who's going to be the guy getting the majority of the points out of those, which isn't what you want. But you've got a solid receiving core. You got a decent quarterback. Tight end is going to be very ebb and flow. Yes, I would pick up Ty J for Jeff Wilson. But that's really all I
Someone
have
in
for
our
this one.
chat just got Eckler for DJ Moore. That's kind of a robbery.
That's a steal and a half. Jesus. I will not understand fantasy football trades in some leagues. I think some people just put these in as a joke, but yeah. Anyways, Geno Smith, Alvin Kamara, David Montgomery, Calvin Ridley, Kadarius Toney making a spot into the starting roster here. Travis Kelce, Jahan Dotson. So your flex / wide receiver is pretty weak relative to everything else. Unfortunate for you, doesn't look like David Montgomery is going to be playing this week. So you're tanking the week, more than likely. I just don't think Brandon Cooks is sustainable whatsoever, so I'm not really have any stock in him. I don't know. It's just like the flex / wide receiver spot is what sticks out to me most here. And it's not like you can tear down your quarterbacks to like trade into something that's more sustainable than Toney or Dotson. Albeit when you drafted them, you were probably expecting something a lot different, specifically with Dotson. Yeah, I just try to improve the wide receiver spot here. You got to kind of stick with your running back room here because there's not really too much you can do out of that either. So you're kind of stuck in a meddling spot. I don't know how else to verbalize that, but you're just kind of stuck here for this time being, waiting in purgatory. There we go. That's a better thought process. And we'll see kind of how that progresses for you. Let's see here. But yeah, like receiver's the only thing you technically need to upgrade here. I think your running backs are fine, and I think your tight end's fine. If anything, maybe tier down from Kelce, and I have a very hard time of like saying to do that. But that's the only spot you can really tier down from with this team because nobody's super into Higgins right now. And your flex spot is really bouncing between Dotson and Toney because Pierce is just the most kind of questionable play right now in all of existence, which makes no sense to me. But yeah, that's all I have for my long ramble.
Yeah, I pretty much just second what you said about it. Oh, you got. I didn't even see you had Gibbs as the background now, Grant. That's sick.
So you switched it up. Suppose his take.
Guys, if you want to get your team rated like this right now, just go to our Twitter bio or our TikTok bio and click the link to the Discord, wherein you can just DM me at Jamario Moon, and I'll get you all set up to get your team looked at here.
And for the person who just asked if they should trade DJ Moore for Brian Robinson, somebody in this chat just got offered Austin Eckler for DJ Moore. So make sure to put that into your thought process for how you're going about that trade. I think there's a chance.
Most people aren't going to be able to get that deal done, though. But, I still think DJ Moore is more valuable than Brian Robinson at this point. So I would look for
there's a
little bit more value there.
Understand there's a chance. That's all you need. But what's going on with Watson? If referring to Deshaun Watson, I have zero idea what's going on with Deshaun Watson. To be honest with you, this is one of the weirder fantasy football seasons there's been. So that's where we're at right now. Looking at this team, though, we have Jalen Hurts, Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Walker, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, Evan Ingram, Mike Evans. So a very strong team. The running back one technically needs more work, but you also have David Montgomery and Joe Mixon. I just really like this team all around. I try to upgrade from Ramondre, but it's like, as we pointed out at the beginning part of this show, we really don't have as long as your running back's healthy at this point, you're kind of winning. Like, you really can't go that wrong. The big reason I was telling people to sell Kyren is because of these trade rumors that are now coming up with Derrick Henry. And I imagine we'll see a few other backs that'll probably float past the Rams way because they were interested in Jonathan Taylor when they were at least shopping him. So to me, I look at that, I'm like, okay, maybe Kyron's not sustainable, but that's a whole other argument. Yeah, this is just a really strong team. It's just more of attrition. Like, yeah, maybe try to upgrade your running back one, but even I'm fine with Ramondre at this point. Let's see.
Yeah, the health is better than most teams are going to be at this standpoint. I mean, Montgomery might be out a week or two max, but aside from that, the rest of the guys are good to go. So you're in a good spot.
Agreed. But yeah, really not anything too crazy to say for this specific team here. So we will move on to our next team here. Tua, Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, Jalen Waddle, Devontae. Oh, I think we lost our Jahmyr Gibbs fanboy. Oh well.
Oh no.
I love the oh no. Oh no. How could we? That was crazy. Let's see here. Jalen Waddle, Devontae Adams, Dallas Goedert, DK. This is like a list of my must-start list for this week, pretty much. Yeah, like, this is just another crack team. In theory, build up your flex spot as another step forward with like a running back that like you know you can count on. But like I don't really want to be trading too much. Like if anything, I just send like a big pile of crap that I have sitting on my bench here of like KJ Osborne, Michael Thomas, and Najee Harris and Zach Moss or something crazy together, all for one player. Very strong team. Really like what you have going here. This should be sustainable for a overall, I wouldn't say playoff finish, but a good finish. Jahmyr Gibbs has returned. But yeah, like that's all I can really advertise for is like your flex spot is the only spot that technically needs to be built up, and that's the spot that I would like add a running back if anything. I'd still like to keep DJ Moore if possible, but also depends on what I'm getting in return. But moving forward. Samuel Howell, Javonte Williams, which I just never been able to get behind the hype on. And I feel like every other week now he's getting like a new dose of hype just because it's like, oh, he's back. I don't know if that's supposed to be a good thing or not.
Is there a chance McLaughlin just takes over a lot of the role? I mean, he's looked a lot better in his limited spots than Javonte ever has. So
I also just look at it as he's like healthy. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. And I wouldn't be trading away TJ Hawkinson. I'd prefer TJ Hawkinson. Let's see here.
I mean, you have Brees there. There's not a lot to really change. I mean, you're basically going to be slotting in.
My buddy decided to send a fantasy punishment for one of our leagues for fun, just because we're old now and we don't really do it. But yeah, he goes, all right, F word. Punishment for coming on last place this year will be relatively easy and fun. Whoever loses needs to go to a bar of their choice and stay there from open till close. Every beer/drink takes 30 minutes off. Bar must open at least 6 p.m. Wow, a terrible punishment. Go to a bar.
I saw a video of someone doing that today.
I feel like that should be the weekly punishment. The losers just go out together and just drink.
Wait, so you have to get there at 6?
I guess. That's not a hard challenge.
That's, what, 8 hours?
Yeah, like...
that's not that bad.
No, that's not bad at all. You just get yourself a bunch of beers, delete them in the first 2 hours, and you're gone by the time game starts.
That's the punishment for one of my leagues, is that exact same thing.
It's pretty easy. That's a light challenge.
But I'm never going to lose the league. But.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got one punishment: the person has to run a mile while drinking if shit shaken 1 chip challenge. Oh, fun. Good for you, Harple. Good for you. Happy to see you back in here. I don't know.
Yeah, what did you just say?
I'm not repeating that. I'll let you guys find that in the chat. Sam Howell, Javonte Williams, Raheem Mostert, Tyreek Hill, Zay Flowers, Dallas Goedert, Drake London. Yeah, another very strong team by looking at the bench here. In theory, go get like Austin Eckler for an even better running back / flex setup, but this is just a very, very like solid team. I don't think Sam Howell's good. I think Sam Howell is Baker Mayfield 2.0. for those who are asking for my Sam Howell take. He just takes a lot of sacks, so I don't really think he's ever going to be worth it. I do think Jacoby Brissett ends up taking the job at some point. Still on that train.
I would trade Mostert because you have Achon there, and the injury seems like
it just seems like somebody's going to lower this floor drastically for Mostert. Like, that's what it really seems like.
Yeah, and you have the guy there that was getting more of the workload pre-injury. So if you could sell high on Mostert, I would do so because you have the guy that's going to be right there afterwards. And then, I mean, Lamb slotting into Zay's slot and Brees slotting into London's slot. This team looks awesome.
Yeah. Just the running backs, as we've emphasized, theoretically need to. But yeah, I would be selling high on Mostert just because we're confident that once these other running backs come back, his role is going to be a lot smaller. In theory, you should be building up your wide receiver 2 spot here, but more often than not, that's CD. And Zay's in your flex, but that's the words of advice. Samuel Howell, Ramondre Stevenson, Kareem Hunt, DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, Kyle Pitts, Josh Downs, with Henry and Higgins on a bye, with Jay Jettas in the AIR. This is a team that we need to kind of know the record for. Yeah, injuries hit this guy hard. That is true. I'm trying to think. Like, my immediate thought is running backs need help. I think Josh Downs is honestly like a fine PPR kind of scam, so to speak. While Gardner Minshew is in there, which I think is really going to drastically improve his value. But this team really needs running backs more than it even needs wide receivers. I don't like tearing down from Justin Jefferson, but this is a team I wouldn't be too opposed from doing it for. Just because I think Kareem Hunt's fine. I think Ramondre Stevenson's fine. But I think you need something to really take you another step forward in terms of the running back room, because I think your wide receivers are going to get the job done for you for the most part, but you really need a high-end running back to continue taking this forward outside of Derrick Henry, who I just don't think is going to be sustainable. And I don't mind selling high on DJ Moore in this package because T. Higgins will be back and he'll be a thing. My only question mark with DJ Moore is, like, is he going to be, like, good with this backup quarterback? We don't know how long Justin Fields is out, but that's how I would do it. I would just try to improve the running back room more than anything. I think Derrick Henry's fine, and when he's on a new team, that should be even better. But like Justin Jefferson, I don't mind holding in a overall like trade piece. I would be trying to get Austin Eckler and something else. I'm trying to think who else outside of Austin Eckler. Like, I think Saquon's great. I think Josh Jacobs is great. I think Brees is great. Just targeting high-end running backs is really what I'm trying to aim for with this team. I think Derrick Henry's fine to hold on to, but I'd be willing to put on the market Hunt, Stevenson, Jefferson, and
I did like the role that Hunt kind of carved out this weekend, though. I wouldn't be shocked if he becomes the RB1 there.
Yeah.
Even starting this week. So
that is the big question mark, is how much does that improve going forward? But yeah, like, running back's the only spot that like I really have a kind of question mark with this team. But I still think you can spend cheap prices and get like Aaron Jones, for example, as well. So you don't have to use Justin Jefferson, but I'm not opposed to using him. Also not opposed to selling DJ Moore, dependent upon what the market sees as his value. But that's really about it. Jumbled nonsense aside. Patrick Mahomes, Kenneth Walker, Roshan Johnson, Chris Godwin, KJ Osborne, Mark Andrews, Cortland Sutton, Justin Jefferson on the bench with Joe Mixon, David Monty. All right, this is Tommy's team. KJ Osborne's a fine fill. I imagine, this team did get hit with injuries as well. I like the running backs, honestly, to a degree. I think that these are sustainable. I think Cortland Sutton's a bit of a sell high. If you can pull that off. That's the real question mark there.
I mean, I think there's like enough pieces on this team to, even though Jettos was perfectly good there before, like there's some good depth at the running back position here, and I think they need to upgrade at wide receiver pretty drastically.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at as well. I like that call out. I would upgrade your wide receivers in theory if you can here. Jeff Wilson will be coming back. Your running back, as Jackson pointed out, has pretty solid depth because you're rotating in and out of that. And Chris Godwin is fine. KJ and Cortland can realistically be sold if you want. All depends on what you're getting in return here. I don't think Jerry Judy's really going to be a guy, but you have to hedge for that. You just hedged yourself well. Yeah.
The flag football thing just got approved for 2028 at the Olympics. That thing has to be the biggest blowout in any sport's history, right? Like nobody else plays the sport.
If we lose somehow, I would be very surprised. I would be very, very surprised. But yeah, like in theory, you could trade out of Justin Jefferson to tier down, but it also depends heavily on your record. Like that's really the only theoretical difference is that, and your receiver focus would be my focus if I am trying to upgrade this. Let's see here. Jordan Love, Algier, Ramondre Stevenson, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, Chris Godwin, T.J. Hawkinson, Curtis Samuel, Cole Kmet, and Jags. So you got some players sitting on bye.
Also,
I'd put Sutton in over Kmet. Go ahead.
This user wanted us to know that's a 12-man as well.
Wow.
Just to keep in mind.
Interesting. Your running back room needs work, but albeit you're putting an Algier for Henry. But regardless of that, it still needs work. You can't really tear down from the quarterback situation, unfortunately.
Yeah, the only place you can really tear down is that tight end spot, probably, unless you want to get rid of Devontae.
And I'd like Hawkinson's price to increase a bit before I do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd put Sutton in as my flex over Komet. But
Oh, definitely, yeah.
For sure.
yeah, not really too much to dive into.
This Jordan Love projection feels a little inflated too. Like I know it's Denver, but
That's insane. I do agree with that. Like that's actually a wild prediction.
I also don't really I don't really get having Donovan Peoples-Jones on your bench at this point in the season. Like he's not
Gonna
like,
do anything.
He's barely the number 3 guy. Like
Akers is droppable too.
yeah.
Yeah. It's just a weird thing because it's like you clearly need to build up your running back. But like, there's not really a lot of ways you can go about that right now with the way this team is constructed. So it's kind of in a hold and wait phase, and maybe like go for how it goes. I believe if you do send it in now, Harville, we will likely get to it today, but we will see. Cup for Diggs and Marquise. What side of that deal would you guys prefer?
I just responded to him, but I think if you need the extra flex option, I like Marquise's upside this year, so I would take that deal. But if you're just looking for depth, I think Cup. I like Cup more than Diggs 1v1. So.
I was gonna say I think it's fair. Like I think it's a fair trade.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm like, I kind of like that actually for a buy low candidate. Seems like a good spot.
You think Marquise is a buy low? I feel like Marquise is kind of a buy high, but looks good.
Yeah.
The Kyler news too probably helps him a little bit.
Yeah. What's up, Doug? How you doing? I appreciate the love, but nothing too crazy else to say about this team. We got Tua, Josh Jacobs, Raheem Mostert. So we have basically what we would consider a super team at this point in the league. You got Devonta Smith sitting on the bench. Not really too much to change except something that's going to be more consistent in the tight end department. I do believe that Raheem Mostert is still a sell high. but like that's really about it, I would say, for this team. And even that, like, you don't really need to do because it's like you could just put Devonta Smith in the flex, so it's like technically improve your flex a step further, but that's really about it. I tried to get Eckler or something along those lines.
Yeah. Really good team. Just do whatever you can do to get another superstar.
Yeah. Let's see.
And before we do this next one, guys, if you're looking to get your team rated like this, just hit the link in our TikTok bio, which will take you to our Discord. Once you're in the server, just direct message me at Jamario Moon, and I'll get you all set up and on the stream tonight.
Yes, sir. He said, I will hook you up. We got Samuel Howell, Brandon Robinson, Craig Reynolds, Chris Olave, DJ Moore, Sam Porta, and Wandale Robinson. So a lot of players either injured or on bye this week for this team, which is unfortunate for them. But they're looking like they're the comeback kids a little bit for when they do get fully alive. Main issue here is the running back room, but like Miles Sanders being injured and Kyron Williams really isn't ideal for you, along with Achon.
Craig Reynolds bum.
Yeah. Just thing is, like, you can't really, like, you're just selling at all complete lows, which you just can't really, I wouldn't say can't afford to do that. But like that's really what you have to try to do, is to try to like take step forwards as 2-for-1s in this situation. But like there's nothing it can really offer you, at least right now, in terms of like guys to go out and get. Like Deontay Johnson has to go out and do something. Chase is on a bye week, and I'm not going to tell you to trade Jamar Chase. I think Wandale Robinson could be sold high, potentially, down the line.
Just wait for your guys to get healthy. I mean, you've probably won a few weeks just strictly based on DJ Moore, Chase, Achon for a couple weeks. So, I mean, I think you can just wait for those guys to get healthy and develop a few more good weeks before you trade them, because right now, like you said, they're going to be at some of their lowest value.
Yeah. But outside of that, like, it's a fine team. It's just like Grant's saying, just got to give it a little bit of time. Let's see here. Patty Mahomes, Jones, Zach Moss, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Booper Bop. Yeah, I'd still be trying to improve the RB2 here. Like, that's all you really need to do, just because Zach Moss isn't sustainable. Dameon Pierce just hasn't really done anything at this point, which is annoying. But, like, yeah, you don't really have anyone you can sell from that point. But maybe try to sell high on DJ Moore and see if you can get a what's worth it 1-for-2, which is hard to kind of determine on stream here. But, like, I think Garrett Wilson's going to get better. I think JSN is going to get better. Yeah. Like, I think there's a lot of like upside pieces.
Roshan and Elijah both have value this week too, so I would potentially look to replace Zach Moss with one of those two this week, depending on how the injury designations go the rest of the week.
I'm just not a big believer in like paying a premium on a quarterback either, so I personally don't mind tearing down from Patrick Mahomes here in order to improve Zach Moss's spot. Because I think Matthew Stafford's also going to be a lot better with Cooper Kupp in this lineup as well. But that's a whole nother segment. But that's another way you could go about this if you want to be odd like me. I would consider Patrick Mahomes in order to improve this spot. Let's see here. When do I do my weekly picks? I give leans basically starting now, but I go into actual like must starts on Saturday. Just because I try to get as much information as possible. Let's see here. Because finding you guys people that are going to finish in the top 5, now that is difficult. But finding people that are going to do well, that is not. Jalen Hurts, Amon St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Bijan Robinson, Isaiah Pacheco, Sam Laporta, Brian Robinson. I mean, just looking at this bench as well, very, very strong team, very stacked. Can't really offer you much advice except like trying to tier a step forward. And there's not really too many ways to go about that. And that would really focus on building the flex, if anything, which would kind of coincide with your wide receiver spot. Because I think DK Metcalf's great, but I think there's options that could essentially be better. Yeah. Like, very solid team, in my opinion. Anything on this team? Or are we moving forward? What do you think, Jahmyr Gibbs? Solid. Oh, damn, I thought we had Jahmyr Gibbs in our presence.
Rachaad White, in theory, is a guy that, he's been healthy and the volume is there. He just is waiting on a big week to pop. This week, to me, is not it. Atlanta's kind of stifled a lot of run games these last few weeks, so it's tough to see that changing now. So, maybe just strengthening up that flex spot. You have a lot of guys that you can kind of throw in there. It's just tough to really find the right guy to pick each week. Because they're all kind of in that same tier: Nico, Jacoby, Rashad, and Brian Robinson. So if there's a guy that's really struggling with depth or has had some injuries, maybe look to package a few of those guys for a more surefire flex that you can just throw in every week. Because a lot of those guys, you're going to be missing big weeks and starting them in weeks where they have down weeks and stuff like that. So it's just going to be a frustrating time unless you try to package them up for something more surefire.
True. Also, side note, because you guys found out I was playing fantasy hockey last night, I got 5th place in the tournament I was in. Pretty happy with that.
No way.
No idea what I was doing, but I did it.
Out of how many people?
Yeah.
How many were in this tournament? How do I check that? I think it was 96 is what it said here.
Wow. Pretty good.
Not too bad. Not too shabby. So figuring out how fantasy hockey as we bat along this. Just wait till fantasy basketball. That's when I'm going to be in my bag. But yeah. But Jason, make sure if you're sending it into the Discord, you are DMing it to our guy Jackson here at Jamario Moon in order to see it. The reason Gibbs is in the background is because Grant is putting out a feeling into the universe.
Reputation's on the line here.
That he's going to be phenomenal. Let you know who you should package.
If Montgomery doesn't play, he will be mid to high teens and will be a top 7 running back this week.
Derek,
that's the take.
I really like this team. I really don't have anything to theoretically package for you on this team. If anything, I'd be trying to move off of Nico Collins, maybe White and Mostert, what you're describing here and out of Rachaad White, Jacoby Myers, and Nico Collins, and maybe even Curtis Samuel, preferably Curtis Samuel. I would be just trying to package in some variety just to improve this running back spot. I don't mind including Brian Robinson. I just think he's a good talent, so I think he's going to get better as time progresses. I don't mind putting together a culmination of these three, or maybe even Curtis Samuel, in order to improve this running back spot up into at least a similar tier, if not a higher tier than what you have with Brian Robinson. And I think a wide receiver specifically, because what I like to do when I have 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs, I like to have 1 solid receiver or 1 solid running back, preferably one of each, to kind of hedge each position dependent upon the week, because there's usually a bye week that comes into place with one of those. But hopefully that was helpful. We got Jared Goff, Austin Eckler, Jonathan Taylor, DJ Moore, Jacoby Myers, Sam Laporta, DK Metcalf. Let's see here. With a lot of solid options chilling on the bench here. Some of which you can't really start this week, but I still think this is a very good team. I would just be trying to get something better in the running back depth spot here for my flex, because I think you have 3 really solid receivers, but I think a combination of Tyron and Deebo Samuel should be able to get you to the highest tier possible for running back. Or Curtis Samuel. But I would be aiming for a running back just because you have 3 decent receivers, because Risley DK can fit into that second wide receiver spot and take another step forward. Just traded T-Law and Nico for Lamar Jackson. I personally prefer T-Law and Nico just because I don't think I like paying for running quarterbacks, but I also don't know what the team looks like. I don't know if the Rams are using Gaskin or Chris Evans. Is Miles Gaskin now on the Rams? And I just completely blanked on that.
Yeah, I think it's between Evans and Royce Freeman more so than Gaskin. I saw Gaskin get picked up off the practice squad. Same with Daryl Henderson, who was a fantasy legend a couple years ago.
Wasn't Miles Gaskin just on the Dolphins?
Last year, I don't think he's been on the team most of this year unless he got cut. Um, but I mean, I think it's between Royce Freeman and Zach Evans this week. I don't think any of them are super viable. Maybe Zach Evans for a week or something, but there's just so many guys there. It's gonna be tough to pick. I feel like it's gonna be a total committee.
True. Sorry, every now and then I click on Twitter just to see what's going on, and it's just always entertaining to see Dylan Dennis still vibing.
Bridger
That was weak,
asking,
man.
he traded Hurts and Pollard for Eckler and Josh Allen, and he has Diggs to make it a stack. I mean, I think you got the better player at both of those positions, so I think that's a good trade all around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about this team. How do you send your team on Discord? You DM our guy Jackson here at Jamario Moon in the Discord. Link to that is in the bio, and he'll tell you exactly how to get your team on this stream. And just forewarning, we'll be not doing another one of these tomorrow. We'll be likely doing one on Friday because we need to be able to watch the game. And if you don't see me as active on TikTok as much, it's because I'm running in circles around the same question, determining what's more important in fantasy basketball, a wing or a guard. And it is a wing, but I'm going to continue running in circles, so bear with me. We got Lamar Jackson, Bijan Robinson, DeAndre Swift, Devontae St. Brown, Mike Evans, Wandale, and some people chilling on bye. You're 4-2 in a 12-man half PPR. This is your team. I mean, if you're in a half PPR, I'd be really trying to make this flex a running back if possible. Albeit, like, Jeff Wilson is, like, coming back, so that's good for you. You got Elijah Mitchell kind of in a nice hedge spot here. Same thing with Kyron and Dameon Pierce, so you built yourself well in that department. I don't think that Love is good in reality. I'd have to check out the schedule, but like, I really don't mind moving out of a mobile quarterback to fully make my team a super team, because that's really only like a 6 to 8 fantasy point difference at a dramatic average. Like, that's me being as kind as I can to like a non-mobile quarterback. That's kind of irrelevant for the real difference between him and Lamar Jackson. So I think the fantasy point wise, it's better for your flex spot. I don't think Wan'Dale Robinson's really doing much for you in a half PPR format, at least yet. I would consider tearing down Lamar Jackson to build up that flex spot into something really crazy, but even that I'm not super for. I like your receiving core a lot, but I just try to build up those running backs a little bit further.
Healthy, this team is awesome.
Yeah,
though.
healthy. This
Or
team's fine.
off of buys. Like if you were in a playoff situation right now, and you have Bijan, Swift, and then Amon-Ra, Mike Evans, Nico Collins, Darren Waller with Kyron as the flex, I think your team looks awesome. So maybe just try to make the right waiver picks just to fill in some of these holes in case of bye weeks. But
yeah, the wide receiver 3 spot and the flex spot would be the only spots I'd recommend trying to tier up if you could. Just because like Wandale isn't going to be consistent, Jahan Dotson has not been consistent. And you said you have the running back depth to really fill in this flex spot, so I'd focus on wide receiver 3 if I have to pivot. But
keep your eye on the Niners injury report the rest of the week too, because if McCaffrey doesn't play, I think Eli Mitchell is a must start over Jahan Dotson there in that flex as well. So just keep your eye to that.
Yeah. But moving forward, we have worth keeping rostered in a 14-man. In a 14-man, yeah, because I imagine if Jacoby Brissett becomes the main guy over there, his value just kind of skyrockets. At least that's how I'm looking at it. But we will see as it moves kind of forward.
Also, this team is 4-2, and they're on a 4-game win streak.
The one we're currently looking at?
Yep.
Lamar Jackson, Isaiah Pacheco, Brees Hall's back for you, just not this week. Wait, isn't Brees playing this week? Yeah.
Is
What?
bye.
He is. Okay, I'm confusion. Alonzo St. Brown, Devonta Smith, Travis Kelsey, DJ Moore, and Jacoby Myers. So in theory, you need running back help, but the bye gods do not have you. Yeah, very very strong team. In theory, you just need more running back help slash like depth, but I think you're chilling. Um,
If you DM me your waiver wire in the Discord, I can help you figure out who to pick up this week at running back.
Hell yeah. But yeah, really nothing too crazy else to say about this team. I am very curious to see how Rashid Rice fares in the near future because that's what seems like everyone in the fantasy community is currently pivoting towards. So
The
that's
Hardman
entertaining.
thing makes no sense. I mean, he's like, I think he's probably more relevant than he was with the Jets, I guess. But I mean, he was never that relevant even on the Chiefs, and when he was there for like whatever 6 years in a row. So
Yeah, I am curious to see how that works out. Barkley Jukes is asking, should he keep Evans or Nico to build up his roster from the previous team?
what? Wait, keep Evans or Nico?
Yeah, keep Evans or Nico. I'll go back to the previous team real quick.
Like
On this
like
team.
start or what?
To try to build up this team. Yeah,
Like
I'm on their
which one you'd
schedule in the
rather
back half
have?
facility. Yeah, so it's like if you were to try to build up the wide receiver 3 spot,
I mean, I would probably. I don't know. They're pretty even players to me. Mike Evans has the bigger name, so maybe you can get more back for him just because he's a guy that's been reliable for years. Versus Nico has kind of come onto the scene mostly this year, and I think Nico will keep up good numbers as long as Stroud is playing well, and I don't see a reason for decline. So I guess just whichever one you can get more for, and I feel like that's probably Mike Evans.
yeah. But moving back to where we were, very solid team here. Just running backs need a little bit of help. We got Herbert, Swift, Jacobs, Amon St. Brown, Stephon Diggs, Sam Laporta, Jameer Gibbs. With Hopkins, Charbot, Spears, and Goddard. And Goff. Yeah, just a great team. Like, really no notes on this team except, like, technically build the flex to something more sustainable than DeAndre Hopkins slash Gibbs. Because if you're losing any weeks, that's probably why. But that's really only thing that's noteworthy on this team. And because you have Amon St. Brown and Laporta, I don't mind selling high on Herbert, even. Just because your team's going to be correlated enough as it is with Amon St. Brown and Sam Laporta. It's not like Herbert's very mobile. You can really fit him in a trade package as well for you to build up that flex spot further. But you really went heavy in on the Detroit Lions here. So,
Which I love. Their schedule in playoff matchups is very positive from a fantasy standpoint, and their schedule in general. I mean, I think there's a very good chance they end up going like 14-3 this season, just based on the caliber of teams they're playing the rest of the season. So, you picked the right year to stack up on Lions for sure.
exactly. But moving forward here, would you trade Amon-Ra for Mostert and Ridley?
No.
No.
I mean, if you need wins right now, and Mostert, is obviously a guy that's going to help you win your next 4 weeks, then I would do it. But if you're in a comfortable position to go like 500 in your next 4 weeks, then I wouldn't be touching those. I would ride with Amon-Ra based on what we had just talked about.
Agreed. Moving on to our next team here. We got Patty Mahomes, Amon St. Brown, Tyler Lockett, Christian McCaffrey, Raheem Mostert, Cole Kmet, and Puka Nakua. With Walker
Big team.
chilling on the bench. Might have to plug in Walker for this week. Very strong team.
True. I would sell Mostert here and just plug Walker into that slot though going forward. I mean, I guess it's nice to have the depth on bye weeks and stuff like that. So maybe you keep Mostert just as a safety blanket. But I think you could get something very solid for him. I would just be comfortable having Kenneth Walker as my RB2 behind CMC. So
Yeah. Just a very, very solid team. Not really anything crazy to kind of talk about for this team here. Just overall solid team in general. Yeah, really. Actually, technically, one thing to point out here: the wide receiver 2 spot, you could technically take a step forward. I don't see a reason why Tyler Lockett needs to be the guy for you here. I mean, he's mostly a flex.
You think we could see Terry come into a slightly larger role as the season progresses?
My thing with Terry is he really just needs a different quarterback. Like, he really just needs a different quarterback at this rate. At least that's how I'm kind of envisioning it. So, yeah. Very short answer on my end, but that's really as much as it is for me. It's just get a different quarterback, and we'll probably have different results.
Did we go over the team on slide 20? I just got a direct message saying
This one?
they got skipped. Yeah.
I think we did skip this.
Oh, we did. Yeah, that's on me. I
Right.
must have double-clicked then. Tua, Ramondre, Austin Eckler, Tyreek Hill, Terry McLaurin, George Kittle, Tyler Lockett. With a very open bench. So you know the rule, always make sure that, like, the bench is full.
I mean, you got one defense there, which is a good thing to have when you have open bench spots. Maybe even pick up another one for another week if there's literally no one that you would want to have there. Other than that, just take a couple shots in the dark and try to pick up some guys that you think could grow in value this week or in the next few weeks. So definitely just take advantage of those slots regardless.
Yeah, there's just not really too much else to say about this team because it's not like you can package like you could technically package together like Terry McLaurin and Tyler Lockett or like Derrick Henry and like Ramondre Stevenson. I wouldn't really try to do either of those, but like those are the ways to improve the theoretical positions there. But like, I guess I would try to focus on the wide receiver / flex tier for this team. Who knows? Maybe Derrick Henry's on a different team and that makes him a lot more viable and more entertaining. But that's really it. There's nothing too crazy to say about this team. Sorry for skipping you, though. I didn't mean to do the double click on accident. But moving back forward here, we got Allen, Bijan, Raheem Mostert, A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Darren Waller, Cortland Sutton, Rashad White, Brandon Cooks, Rashawn Johnson, Rashee Rice. I mean, the main theme that we're kind of saying here is like sell high in Raheem Mostert and mostly Cortland Sutton if you can. Just because you could take this team another step forward. I think Calvin Ridley is going to be a fine receiver in this league. I really do. And that's really the only spot I would try to take a step forward here is the flex spot, which is kind of the main point that we always draw back to is like always try to improve your flex another step forward. But that really is the biggest thing you can do to take your team another step forward. And that's the same recommendation I would give to this team. Nothing too crazy, nothing too insane. Just build the flex. And we'll see where you go from there.
Yeah, and if any of you guys are trying to get your team looked at by us on this stream or on any of our streams, just join our Discord, which the link for is in the TikTok bio, and DM me at Jamario Moon, and I'll get you set up and on here.
And if you don't want to hear any of our answers because you deem us unintelligent, then feel free to go into the Fantasy Football thread and ask all of their opinions because there is a billion of them in there helping you guys out constantly. And don't worry, we help out in there too. But, yeah. Moving forward. Blank screen. All right, there we go.
Nice.
Lamar Jackson. So you're probably going to hear a very similar theme to this team. I don't mind tearing down from Lamar Jackson. That's really about it for this team, though. You just have a lot of people who are injured that are either going to be a thing this year or they're not. There's not really anything too crazy. Jonathan Taylor's a fine flex spot. You've waited that time now. I don't really like. I want Raheem Mostert, but I feel like I could sell on him for a premium and get something nice in return. Kyle Pitts is starting to look okay. Yeah, I like this team. Like that's really the end result. In theory, I'd try to go get another receiver, but like I do think DeAndre Hopkins may end up getting better. I think James Conner is decent once he's off IR. Like,
do we think this Kyle Pitts, Drake London spike we're kind of seeing, like kind of more so Drake London, but also like one good game I think from Pitts, one or two. Like, is that because Desmond Ritter's like playing better, or is that, do you think, like matchup factors?
yeah, like I think it's more they're just playing from behind, and that's
Yeah.
really it. I don't think it's anything too crazy.
Yeah.
Alave Prods, what is your name in here so we can make sure that we're getting to you? Actually, been here for a while. So I'll have Jackson check that. But I imagine you're probably here in the later part of this stream. Overall, very solid team, though. Like, in theory, build up a better wide receiver, but that's really about it.
What they say their Discord name was?
I don't see it here yet. I'm assuming
okay.
it's probably doing something with Olave, would be my guesstimation. But moving forward here, we have Jordan Love, Raheem Mostert, Jerome Ford, A.J. Brown, Amon St. Brown, Darren Waller, Marquise Brown, Terry McLaurin. With Kirk O'Two-Chains vibing on here. Let's see.
They got Jettas on the bench.
I don't see a need to have three quarterbacks. I'll start out with that, albeit you're just kind of going between each week trying to figure out who is going to be the best start out of all of them. I don't like playing that bring around the rose kind of game. You got Jay Jettas on IR, which sucks.
Well, this is also like the perfect team to like to trade out of Justin Jefferson in this situation. Like you're lacking in every position besides, well, not every position, but running back, and you have AJ and Amon-Ra. Like you're totally cool to get rid of Justin for some value.
Yeah.
And Marquise, I like Marquise a lot going forward too.
Mm-hmm.
I would start.
I'd
start
focus
the
on
boy.
running backs if I were you,
Yeah.
with Justin Jefferson tearing down wise.
Start the boy over here. Over Jerome Ford this week probably, or at least Terry McLaurin.
Yeah. Two quick side questions here. So we have. I wouldn't trade away Mostert for Mike Evans. I can get a lot more for Raheem Mostert, realistically. And
agreed.
Devontae Adams for Mike Evans and Lamar. Should you do it? I'd prefer the Devontae Adams side of the trade, whoever is
by far
getting that.
Yeah.
Just because I think Lamar is great, but I also don't know what quarterback you have. And Mike Evans just isn't going to be able to demand as many targets as Devontae Adams is. Overall, it's a fine team. I can't wait till we start rating basketball fantasy teams. That just made me cringe, even thinking about it. But yeah, like I would just try to improve my running back spot because like Jerome Ford's okay, but like you need somebody better than Jahmyr Gibbs as a backup at this point for that. Like you don't need three different quarterbacks to try to figure out which one's going to have the best week because they have a good matchup. Receivers are fine, but like I'd really focus on tearing down for running backs with Justin Jefferson because of the 1-2 other first round receivers that you have on your team. Yeah. Let's see here. We got Jalen Hurts, Michael Pittman, Amari Cooper, Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, Sam Porter, Tyler Lockett with David Montgomery, T. Higgins, Jefferson. Yeah, I mean, David Montgomery sitting out is obviously unideal for this team. I'd be really trying to. Yeah, I mean, you can't really move off of Najee Harris, unfortunately, because there's not a soul on earth who wants Najee Harris on their fantasy football team right now.
Get Michael Mayer out of there.
Yeah, he's actually been doing.
I mean, he
better,
had a good week,
surprisingly.
but he's not.
Yeah.
I don't think he's fantasy relevant this year.
Sam Laporta will be. I agree.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd be trying to upgrade this RB2 if possible. I imagine the beginning of this team must have been tough sledding a bit. But yeah, RB2 is the weak point. I try focusing on building that. T. Higgins isn't really. You lost Chubb early. That makes sense here. I like the receivers. I'm not a big. Oh, sorry. Accidentally clicked. Not a big Tyler Lockett guy, personally. He does get decent points, but it's like Devonta Smith, and essentially, Like, and it's either going to be like very big weeks or it's very small weeks. It's no real in between. Yeah, I'd just be trying to build up this RB2. Like, David Montgomery's going to be back whenever he's back. I don't mind tearing down with Jalen Hurts on this team just because you have the mobility with your quarterback, but you need to kind of fill in the gap of either your RB2 / wide receiver flex thing here. Because Lockett isn't unfortunately going to be consistent enough. I do think JSN is going to become a thing, which also creates like a hedge piece for JSN in the long run, which really then means you need to focus on this RB. But that's long-winded answer aside. That's really all I have for that. We got Watson, Bijan, Josh Jacobs, Ayuk, whose value I think is going upwards. Everyone is in on this Rashee Rice breakout before it has even happened, so that is a whole thing in itself. Yeah, I mean, it's a solid team. It's just like one of these pieces needs to kind of pop for you, and we really don't know who's going to be that true pop piece. Nico Collins is going to be filling into that flex spot for you more often than not, but I think this is a solid team. And I'd be trying to move for a third, whatchamacallit, running back here to have as a flex spot.
Yeah, and I would also kind of encourage you to probably move away from Algier. Like, I personally don't think it's the worst thing to have Algier on your bench, but considering you already have like the Elijah Mitchell handcuff on the bench, I just don't think there's any value for Algier for you, really.
Yeah. And for those asking, you DM our guy Jackson here at Jamario Moon, like the basketball player in the Discord. You DM at Jamario Moon in the Discord, and he'll tell you exactly how to get set up accordingly. And it might not be in this stream because we really don't go over the hour and a half mark. We're a little past an hour here, and this is usually where we start winding down on teams. But just letting you know, it would be in the next stream, which would be Saturday if these gents are, Friday if these gents are up for it.
Yep, and the faster you hit me up, the earlier on the stream you'll be, so get after me.
And these will be on YouTube after as well for those worried that they didn't get to see their team get ranked. Let's see here. I'm assuming on the left is the starters. So I'm going to go Josh Allen, Bijan Robinson, Isaiah Pacheco, Chris Godwin, Jordan Addison. So wide receivers and flex are weak.
We got CD there.
You got CD chilling there. It was fine. And he's going to be in there. I mean, I don't want to be selling out of Allen.
You can get production from Gibbs, then CD and Addison if Jefferson doesn't come back, or CD and Godwin the rest of the season isn't bad to me.
Yeah. Like, I think this team's more than fine. If you really want to, you can technically tear down from Allen just because I think that Goff is going to go on an absolute tear. That's the only thing that, like, I'd say theoretically tear down wise to build up your receiver core, but even that I think is fine what you have there. I don't mind selling Addison or Osborne once one of them pops to get like a really inflated value in return for either one of them, primarily to fix my flex spot. But that's really it. Not really anything too crazy about this team. Just overall solid build, like what you got going here. But yeah. Nothing really else to say. Just because, like, if I see Jared Goff on the team and the schedule that you guys pointed out with the Detroit Lions, I really don't mind having Jared Goff as my main starter for the rest of the season, essentially. Whereas, like, I can use that Josh Allen equity to really build up another position that's lacking, which typically comes in the flex spot. Do you trade Kupp for Jacobs and Thielen? You're 1-5 and your wide receivers and are solid and running backs are hurt. I still don't want to be trading Kupp for a guy that's basically guaranteed 22 fantasy points in a PPR league for two guys that are very up and down. But that's just me. Allen, Gibbs, Eckler, Diggs, Puka, Waller, Addison, with London, Sanders, Palmer, Wilson. I don't like Gibbs, but we got Grant, a big fan of him for at least this week. Just the bench is very injury focused here, unfortunately for you. Nobody wants to still be buying Drake London. Or Josh Palmer, realistically. But I'd really be trying to build up my running back depth if possible here. Because I don't think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be sustainable in fantasy at this point. So I'd really be trying to build up a way to get my running back depth more solidified if possible. And that means potentially selling out of players like Josh Allen or Jeff Wilson. Basically, like Jeff Wilson before that egg hatches type deal, or Josh Allen to get something more sustainable. Like, I love Josh Allen, do not get me wrong. He's going to be great in terms of fantasy. But when we're looking at how to make these teams more sustainable / like more reliant, he's a piece that can realistically go in that equation that makes our lives a billion of times more beautiful. If I can learn how to say English things, of course. But going back to this one more time, that's really about it for this team. There's nothing too crazy about it. It's just like you need to build up running back depth here because everything you have is just like a bunch of like pennies stacking on each other, trying to create a hill, which may work in some instances, but more often than not, it's just not. But yeah, that's what I have to say about that specific team. So we will move forward once again. We go again. Dock screen. Not dock screen. Perfect. We got Jalen Hurts, Austin Eckler, DeAndre Swift, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, TJ Hawkinson, Alexander Madison. Let's see here.
Flex could use a little improvement, obviously, but the receivers, tight end room, quarterback, both running backs I like a lot. So it's just a matter of whether you can pick the right guy every week.
Yeah. And the person asking on Discord was Rashid Shaheed Enthusiast. That is who Olave Prods is.
Oh, of course it is. What's up, Rashid?
But yeah, like this team's cracked. In theory, build up your flex, but like you have lots of options to do that with. So the world is really your oyster for this team here. Because TJ Hawkinson, I think he basically gets put in the Travis Kelce tier now. At least that's my personal opinion on the whole matter. But yeah, that's really about it for this team. We got Patty Mahomes, Etienne, Kamara, Adams, Olave, Andrews, Jacobs, with Swift, Metcalf. I mean, yeah, this is a super team. Just build up your, I can't even say build up your running backs. Just very, very, very strong team here. Not really much else to say. Yeah. I think that is what we have here, though, for teams. So if Jackson, we can figure out while I flip through these real quick, which one was the...
Oh, the Rashid Shaheed one?
Yeah.
It has Mahomes, DJ Moore, and KJ Osborne as the first three in the starters. And it looks like it's, I think that's a Yahoo league.
Mahomes.
That it?
This one?
No. It's like one of the... Yeah, it might be this. No, but it looks like that. Go back. Maybe it's just... Should I just add it again to the end so we don't just
Yeah, just add it again to the end.
Okay.
I'll look through and see if I can find it. We'll go through it there. But while we get that on, that's really what I have in this particular stream here. Nothing too crazy at the end of the day. But we appreciate the hospitality, the likes, the gifts, and the follows here while we wait to go through our guy, Rashid Shaheed Enthusiast here. Yeah, I don't know if we did this one.
I don't think we did.
Yeah, no, we didn't. We got Mahomes, DJ, Osborne, Dubs. Yeah, I would definitely consider tearing out of Mahomes here. Just because you do have Kirk Cousins, who I also do think takes a big hit without Justin Jefferson.
Could also tier out of Kelsey, like either way.
Yeah, like I don't like losing the Mahomes Kelsey stack because of the positional advantage
Yeah,
it has.
true.
But like the reality of the matter is like Shaheed isn't going to be consistent enough for you, even though I know you love Rashid Shaheed. Keontae Ingram is just not. He's not going to be it. Romeo Dubs not going to be it. KJ Osborne not going to be it. Like you have three different players on your team right now. Even if like Dameon Pierce comes back and is able to fill this gap accordingly, like you at least have two different teams here. I mean, not teams, players here that just aren't going to be able to fill those gaps for you. Realistically, four. And that's why we're advising to kind of tear down. So you even have Devo Samuel chilling on the bench, just that. But like, that's the only thing I would recommend potentially doing is tearing down from Kelsey and Mahomes. I love the stack, but remember, Mahomes really doesn't have that much rushing upside, even though he's kind of proved otherwise so far this season, which is kind of funny. But like, I would be trying to tear down to get something more consistent in my receivers slash flex spots here, which I think is how I would play this. But nothing too crazy here. That's the last team we're going to do for today. Appreciate all the likes, the gifts, and the follows, guys. And the Jameer Gibbs sub in here from Jameer for Grant. We know he traveled long and far to join us here on rating your guys' respective fantasy football teams, but we really appreciate Jameer Gibbs coming along. It's a hard time picking up Grant's slack on this. But
Grant's just sitting back waiting for the Gibbs touchdowns to fall in.
Exactly. But once again, appreciate all the likes, the gifts, and the follows, guys. These will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, so make sure to subscribe there and see exactly what we get right or wrong in the future. We've been pretty good about keeping you guys ahead of market, as you've seen, with just trying to tell you guys to sell Kyron Williams at the right time. Realistically, we've been in and out of the Raheem Mostert market and so on and so forth. But we take a lot of pride in helping you guys win your league, so make sure to drop a follow if you haven't already. Join the Discord if you haven't already done so we can get you on for the next stream. Jackson at Jamario Moon is the guy that you need to be DMing on our Discord here, and he'll make sure to tell you exactly how to get your team rated. But make sure to drop a follow on this specific page, subscribe to the YouTube, watch the playback there, so that will be available for you guys. And we will see you guys next time. But until then, watch Jameer Gibbs get his tutty, and we'll see y'all then. Peace, y'all.